Alright guys, let's take a look at this piecewise function stuff that I gave you for homework. So when I say a piecewise function, I mean pieces of functions. So not the full function, it's when I restrict the domain. And so what 1, 2, 3, and 4 go through is kind of the process of restricting your domain. So I'm going to do this kind of quickly, just to give you guys a general idea, because we will go over it in more depth tomorrow. So basically what number 1 is asking me to do is take this equation right here and plug in for x and get this table of values for that equation. Then on the second page, you want to graph it on one of these blank graphs, only the points that they told you to. So only between -3 and 2. Okay. Then you're going through and you're using this function, so y equals -x plus 3, and you're using this table of values for 0 through 6. And then you're going to get another graph and plot just those points on that graph. And so that's kind of what 3 and 4 are talking about. So they have you on the first graph, so back to that pink one, you're drawing these vertical lines between -2 and 1. And then you're going to cut that piece out. You're going to keep the stuff in the middle, so the middle piece, and get rid of the edges. And then you're going to take it and glue it on down here, making sure that your x and y axis match up. So in this graph down here. And then similarly, on your second graph that you drew with the blue one, you're going to draw the vertical lines between 1 and 5. Cut out your graph and keep that middle piece as well. And then gluing it on here. Now, if you feel like that's way too extra for you, because I feel like it's a little bit too extra for me, you could just do it all on one. So that's what this graph is about. So, kind of like we did together in class today, here is my equation. I'm going to go graph it. So if I graph this first one, I know I have a y-intercept of -1. And now the thing is, I'm going to do this lightly. And then I have a slope of 2, so I can go up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and I could also go down 2, back 1, down 2, back 1. Now the thing is though, I have to obey the restrictions. So like we were talking about in class today, you are restricted now, where x needs to be between -2 and 1. So -2 down here, this point is allowed and it's closed. And we can go all the way up to where x was 1, so that's right here, and now I'm going to be open. So that point that I put up there, I wasn't allowed to do that, because that's over at x equals 2, and this graph doesn't go there. Then, this function also has this part. Okay, so this is the pink graph, which we did everywhere else, so we got that. The second part down here, I could go graph this. It's got a y-intercept of 3, and then a slope of down 1 over 1, right 1, sorry. So I could do that a couple of times. However, I have to obey the restriction that x needs to be between 1, so actually right here, so that first point that I put the y-intercept, couldn't do it. And then we can continue on. We're going to be a solid filled-in line until we get to 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to be an open circle right there, and that's all we get. So that's like that blue line, which if you follow the instructions in 1 through 4, like you're going to cut and glue. But if you're feeling like I don't want to do all that, we just did it without cutting and gluing. Okay? So hopefully that helps a little bit. What you have on the back here are 2 more to try. Okay, there are tables if you feel like you need to do a table. And there are 3 tables here because there are 3 pieces of this graph. You could also use these extra graphs right back here if you feel like you need to cut. Number 7 has 2 tables because there are 2 pieces. Now again, the restrictions are everything. The restrictions tell you where you're allowed to draw your graph. Okay? And so one other little hint with this too, you guys have this Piecewise project that got cut off a little bit at the top, where part 1 you're going to write the function for this, and then for part 2 you're going to draw your own picture and give its equation. Okay, so I feel like I would write the function by doing f of x equals, And we're going to have a lot of pieces. And I could even go and count the pieces that I have, because it's like each line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equations, and you're going to have 6 restrictions, because these graphs are only in between certain values. So hopefully that helps. Have a good one.